Show, and we have a very special show this week. It will be the Joe Mullins Live Shop and Play with the Pastor J show, and we're interviewing Janet McDonald and Tant from Flagler County School Board. This week, Saturday, 9:30 a.m., 94.9, 1550 a.m., WNZF. It would have been a lot better had I been in my seat.
Y'all see, hear this. He's already starting. He's already starting. So, y'all just know. Okay. All right. Here we go. You go. I'm going to watch you.
I was going to move it, and I said, if you go to sit and fall on you, I said, oh, gosh.
And you'd be on video.
And you'd be on video. They can catch you. We are live. And we're trying to get everyone, Tom. We don't have you. Just a little tiny bit. Yep,
Okay.
Now we got you.
If you just let me sit there, Tom can get in the picture a little bit.
You know what? May I have my headphones?
No, you're
Not your headphones. Yeah, exactly. This is your seat.
Oh.
You happen to have another pen? PJ took mine.
Why you blame him? This is going to be an interesting show for those of you who are watching by way of Facebook Live, Twitter, and Periscope, and YouTube.
Periscope? What is that?
Oh,
Is that like on a Navy sub and it comes out of it?
Yeah.
One thing special about this show is we're going to combine it. It's the Today Show with Pastor J and Live Shop and Play. We're actually going to run it on both of our segments, but it's a very important topic that we both wanted to tackle. So instead of asking them to come in twice, we're going to do it together.
Yes, this is going to be very interesting, and hopefully Joe will behave himself, because this is the Pastor J show. We only talk about good things. He liked to live, shop, and play a whole lot. We don't play that much over here. Just joking. All right, I'm going to share this to my Facebook. Why don't you share this to your Facebook? No?
Oh, yeah. No. Well, I don't know how to do all that.
Oh, okay. That's right.
But we can record. If I record it, my phone will die.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll be...
You know, I didn't go to Flagler County schools, so I don't know how to use technology at an early age.
Good point.
So,
very good point.
I went to those Georgia schools where they still use the strings and the cans to talk to each other. That was their PA system.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
We just learned how to play football.
Janet McDonald. All right. Ooh, I spelled Tom right.
You want live video, right?
I'm on live video.
All right, I'm doing live video then. What is this? I just noticed you got cameras everywhere. You're like she must have gone to Flagler School. She understands technology.
No, you know what it is? I'm very involved in Flagler schools, because my children are in Flagler schools, so in order to keep up with them just as a parent, I had to learn all this
You know,
stuff.
after going through the elementary school and seeing those first and second graders using technology more than I could do, I don't doubt any of this. I'm like I said, we just learned how to play football in Georgia.
All right, I'm ready. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. It is Today with Pastor J, and we are living, shopping, and playing. Welcome, Joe Mullins. It's good to have you on the show.
It is great to have you on the show.
We are merging two wonderful and beautiful shows. You get to hear this show twice. It's a lot of good information, and our guests this morning are...
Janet McDonald from the Flagler County School Board.
And Tant. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Flagler County School Board.
Ooh, we're going to be talking money, 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 money. Mark, you know what to do. You're going to have to cue that for me. So we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about education. Joe and I have been in these Connect 2 classes. I've been in the Connect 2 class for 2 weeks now. And yesterday,
I was there the first week. You just didn't see me.
You're right. You were invisible. You were on that diet.
I did.
Yep. You were on that, Diane. I think he might have disappeared that week, but it was great. It was at Matanzas High School. Janet, tell us about what the Connect to things are about and all that other kind of stuff, because it's kind of cool.
Right. Well, like all of our other agencies, the city of Palm Coast, the county, and I believe the sheriff as well, have citizens academies so that you can get in and be informed on a kind of a bottom level, right in close and personal to what happens in each of these departments and who the major players are, what their agencies do in every department, so you're more informed. We hear a lot of information on the social areas, when you're talking with friends, and yet to get an inside look and see exactly what's happening is what it's all about. So the focus is to give you a taste of the school cultures, the opportunities at every school, and then the inner workings. I think that's the most important thing that people learn when they go to the Connectives, and that's why Mr. Tant.
Well, I can tell you it was fun. The first one was on October the 4th. It was at Matanzas High School, and it was Transforming Education, Teaching and Learning. Jill, you were absent that day. I have to tell you, you weren't there.
Yeah, I was, but you know what? I gotta say this. I have never, and I've been in a lot of areas and never seen a school system have a program like that where adults can come in and see how school operates and see the process. When I had heard several stories that the schools that we went to were not the best in the community. And after going in and seeing them, if that's not our best, then I mean, it was incredible what we saw yesterday.
Well, for those of you who don't know, a few years ago, Flagler County Schools took everything within the school system and broke it up into what they call 4 pillars. So the first pillar was teaching and learning. That pillar supports activities and functions related to the school's curriculum, instructional design, assessments, practices that guide and ensure teacher effectiveness and student learning. So it focuses on curriculum and growth and measurement. That was at Matanzas High School. I got an opportunity to tour one of their classrooms. It was one of their flagship programs. They have like a CSI kind of class. Man, I wanted to, Joe, you should have been there. If you were there, I would have laid you out on the floor and did a chalk line. They were talking about different cases and stuff that was going on. It was kind of cool. They drew a picture, of all the people that were involved. It was nice. You would have liked that because there was some current event stuff. And it even had Bill Cosby out there. They was talking about his case.
Wow.
And
wow.
In fact,
you know what was neat with it, what I saw yesterday, there's discovery centers throughout the country that have these science centers. And that's what it reminded of me going in the classroom. I mean, we're talking first and second graders learning to be future engineers or future computer. I mean, he was telling me, I thought they were learning video game stuff, but the teacher actually shared with me that they're programming codes in there at second, third grade.
Which that's one of the other pillars. October the 11th, it was instructional and operational innovation. It was at Buddy Taylor Middle and Wadsworth Elementary School, and that's where you and I were looking at each other going, what? We saw second graders doing phenomenal things. And, okay, you were dancing.
I would have a hard time.
And then we caught you dancing.
They actually had to teach me the floss.
Is that what it's called, the floss?
That's what they said.
Well, that particular pillar supports activities and functions related to challenging the 21st learning environment to personalize learning and provide services that ensure success for all students. We're talking technology, all different MIS. It was great. So it was wonderful.
And the other thing that you may not have had pointed out to you, these kids are all learning in different groups. Mm-hmm. So part of it is how do you embed the soft skills, the executive functioning skills, every level that's appropriate to work in those conditions where they'll see in any working environment. They have to work with other people. They have to know how to interact, how to communicate.
Now, Tom, have you been on this tour?
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't it crazy? Now, when we went to school, it was what? Shut up, sit down, and listen.
Yeah, I got stuck in the closet most of the time because I talked to the other students and the teachers. The way they cured it is they put me in a little closet. So they'd leave the door open and I'd sit in the archway and be able to look in and see. I think that was abuse, and I should probably go back and see.
I think you might have been stuck in a locker. It's true, but it's so wonderful. And Tom, what I learned from you, because you came in, you were talking about the money.
Yep. That's my job. I've been with the,
Just want to talk right into the end of it.
You
Pardon?
got,
You can move it, talk right into the end of it.
okay.
which while we're doing that, hold on just one moment.
Yeah.
Can you find me my song, Money, 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 just a second?
I'm trying, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead.
Yes, that's my field of expertise. I've been with the school district since 1991, and I've seen it grow. And the technology impact in our schools have been provided by our community, really, with this half-cent sales tax. We promised that when we would get the half-cent sales tax, that we would use it for technology. And that's exactly what you're seeing in our schools, a direct application of those local funds going into our school district. We're one of the only school districts in the state of Florida that has the one-on-one initiative. That means that every one of our students has a computer laptop that they take home with them, that
Wow.
they do their homework on, etc. Throughout our middle schools, our high schools, and our elementary schools.
So how long have you been working with funds and money? Because I'm gonna tell you, you can make $1 out of 15 cents. You really can make $1 out of 15 cents. I saw the budget. I see how much we're getting per child within the county, and you have stretched it beyond. I don't even know how you did it.
Well, we started out in 91 with about 4,000 students. We were really property rich and student poor. But since then, we now are free and reduced lunches. We have increased the most of any other district in the state for the number of free and reduced lunches, well over 55%.
Well,
Our
in Buddy
students
Taylor,
are-
it was 80%.
Yes,
80% of
yes.
the students.
So we're in a new we're in a new phase as far as the school district's concerned. And unfortunately, with our funding level, we're having some serious difficulties with getting the state to catch up to where we are. Because out of 67 districts, we're 61st in funding per student. And
Okay.
so we're having to struggle with that.
So
And the
that-
way we're struggling with that is we have done our infrastructure over the last 10 years since class size reduction to have very large schools. And those very large schools help us cut costs. So we share cafeterias like Wadsworth and Buddy Taylor. We share cafeterias. Like the government service building, we're one of the only school districts that shares a boardroom with the county government because it's less expensive. We've done all kinds of projects and we continue to do them to save energy. We're one of the only school districts in the state over the last 7 years that have reduced our energy consumption every year. And we've done that with some huge projects. For instance, in both our high schools, we have a project where for the cooling system, we actually make ice all night with our air conditioners underneath the school, and then during the day we turn our air conditioners off and we just blow fans over that ice
Wow.
to cool the schools. So we're doing everything we can do to save money, to make it less expensive, and to put more money in the classroom with the kids to give them new opportunities.
Sounds like a lot of county governments could actually learn, go back to school and learn from you guys. But you know, to make this so people, the listeners can understand, you guys get your revenue from tax dollars that go in, and it goes to the state. Is this? Tell me if I'm correct. It goes to the state, and then it comes back to us. How does that come? How does that work?
Well, you know, we can talk about that because I have to take a break. Today with Pastor Jay, we take breaks on Live, Shop, and Play. It just plays on out. So don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Today with Pastor Jay, and you're also listening to Live, Shop, and Play with
Joe Mullins. I wanted to get that in there about the dollar.
you can
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that.
right.
real
Absolutely.
quick.
When we come back in, you can just go ahead and take
And
over.
that's come out of the forums. We're the only agency in the county that goes with zero-based budgeting.
Yeah.
Wow. Each
That's
We
farmer's
have
own.
to do that.
why I wanted to say. Well, what I want to throw in there too is how amazing it is that you guys have what you have without the business economy, because most school systems have a thriving or a business economy
Are we
that's
talking about that?
supported as well.
Well-
We're absent of it.
And yet, we
about
have the Education
12.
Foundation and wonderful business partnerships that takes those,
Okay,
those
so when we come
private
in from the
dollars.
break, it's gonna.
Oh,
I'm gonna go
you're
money,
talking
money,
about the
money.
foundation.
Well, let me hear it first, and then you're gonna take it
I'll
away
let you
with
talk about
your
the
conversation.
foundation.
Okay?
I'm gonna talk about the
I want to hear the song.
tax.
I'll do that.
Situation.
When we go back up, we'll talk about the tax
Perfect.
and the dollar versus.
And you know
because
how the business is.
towards the end, I
That
want to
is
say
it. So I'm trying to
somehow
figure out where I want
y'all are
it to
able
go.
to do this
'Cause
all
it has
without
like a long intro.
business support like a lot of schools get, because we don't have it in the economy. And I want to say our schools, our kids, our school system is more advanced than our economy, because it really is.
Right before it goes money, money, money. Let me hear that again. Okay, that's good. That's perfect. All right.
Are we ready?
You have your head? Oh, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm gonna say welcome back, and then you're gonna take over.
Welcome back.
I might say money, money, money. You never know what I'm gonna say until it goes. All right, now we getting ready to talk about the money, and we got Money Man, Live Shop and Play Joe Mullins here. We got Money Man Tant, the Chief Financial Officer of Flagler County Schools. Let's talk about that money.
So Tom, before we break, we were talking about the way the school system gets its money. So from what I've understood is it's off our tax dollars, which Flagler County would be the home taxes and stuff. So it's on there and it goes to the state and then it has to come back to us. How does that work? Tell me exactly.
That is correct, and let me see if I can simplify this a little bit for everyone. The way we get paid as a school district and all the other school districts in the state of Florida is we get paid per student. So for every student, we get so many dollars, okay? So, and that stays constant until we do our inventory of kids. We do that twice a year. We count the kids. It's not an average number of kids for the whole year. The state uses 1 week in October and 1 week in February. If those children don't show up that week, we don't get paid for them for a half a year.
Wow.
So that's the way the system is set
That
up
doesn't sound
in
very
Florida.
Even if students come from another county,
That is
let's say if
correct.
they come outside of
They
that
have
week,
to be here that week,
they don't get
and they
paid.
have to attend school. Now, that's the start.
Mhm.
Now let's talk about the real meat of the situation. We have what we call the required local effort. That is the main vehicle that we use to generate taxes and the revenue for the school district. That required local effort is not set by the school board. That rate is set by the legislature. So we're one of the only government agencies in the state of Florida that doesn't get to set its own millage rate. Millage rate is set in the legislature. And so currently, we are 10th highest in the state. Out of 67 districts, we pay the 10th highest millage rate for our required local effort for our property owners.
Wait a minute, a county of a little over 100,000 people
We're
is the 10th highest?
That is correct. We pay higher than Palm Beach.
Wow.
We pay higher than St. Johns County, higher than Duval County, higher than Volusia County, higher than Bradford County, and higher than Putnam County. We're the 10th highest millage rate for required local effort, which we don't set. That's set by the legislature. Now, you would think, with being the 10th highest millage rate for our property owners, that we would be receiving quite a bit of money
You
for
think
our
so?
students.
So what
So
it
we
goes
pay
up is-
more than Key West.
We
So-
pay more than Key West.
So a dollar goes in and then we get a dollar back, right?
No, sir.
No.
We do not. We get 95 cents back on every dollar. And that's based on an old formula that has been in the Florida statutes for 30 years. And that
How?
So we're
formula
losing
needs to
money.
be, and the results of this formula, give me 1 second, because
Okay.
I want to tell you the second half of the story.
Okay.
So we're the 10th highest millage rate all our property owners pay. And guess where we are in dollars per student that comes back from the state?
Where?
The total dollars that comes back from the state per student in Flagler County, we're 61st lowest out of
Wow.
67 districts. We're paying the 10th highest taxes, we're receiving the 61st lowest dollars per student.
So what do we do about that? Is there anything that we can do? That's the question.
Well, fortunately, our representative Renner
Mhm.
and our Congressman Hudson have been working with us for the last 3 years, and we have actually got an extra appropriation this year that has actually brought $1 million into Flagler County for this year only, called compression, which helps us because we're $4 million under the average disbursement per student in the state. So that $1 million brings us up to only $3 million less. So we used to be 65th out of 67 districts.
Until we
Now
got
we're
$1 million.
61st. But unfortunately, it is not a reoccurring appropriation. So Representative Renner is working very hard with Senator Hudson to make this reoccurring. Because it is very important for districts like us that are under the state average to make up dollars per student. Because our students don't get a second chance. And our taxpayers are paying the money that should be coming back to this district. But it is not.
So it sounds like the listeners that are paying taxes need to start calling these representatives and giving a voice of discomfort of how they feel like, hey, my dollars are going to different areas instead of the kids here. And it sounds like that our local government needs to start speaking up, and we need to make some noise here.
Absolutely we do. We are not being treated fairly.
And our
In
kids
fact,
are suffering.
And our kids are suffering.
But we haven't been treated fairly for so long. And why? I mean, what happened? And all of a sudden, I mean, you know, you've been here since '91. It's been this way for forever.
Yeah, but the formula's out of date is what they're saying.
Right.
It's-
Yeah, the
it needed-
formula is completely out of date.
And over the years, it's getting worse. So now it's gone from $1 down to 95, which it may have worked 30 years ago. But what I think Tom's saying is the formula doesn't work today.
It doesn't work today because of the growth. I mean, think about
Because
where
of the-
Flagler
that's
County
true.
was 30 years ago.
Good point. Good
Think
point.
of where it is now.
That's true.
Think about the
we've grown
recession.
so much in the past few years, just in the past 10 years.
That's correct.
Well, 4
And
years ago, if I can interrupt, 4 years ago when I got on the board, Tom was an excellent asset for me understanding how all this worked.
Okay.
And when this came up in our conversation, I was amazed, and since I was from New England, that's not the way we do business out there. We keep our tax dollars local.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to go the long route through Tallahassee. And that's when I think all of our board members started getting on the conversation about about taxes and keeping our taxes local with Representative Renner and Senator Hudson and all the other people on the Education Appropriations Committee.
That's correct. And I even have documents back in 1996 where the Auditor General's office from the state of Florida was saying that the factors back then were causing the highest funding and lowest funding to starting to be so wide apart that the formula should be relooked at.
Wow.
And it still hasn't been addressed.
And the
it's
great
getting
thing
critical.
Is, it is getting critical, but we have awesome schools. Which, if people had gone to this career too, you would have learned all of this, had an opportunity. Tom, you gave me, I mean, how many questions did I ask you? In fact, Joe, you were there. You said you were asking so many questions. You're going to be the first one killed in a
I
horrible.
thought we were back in. I thought we were back in school there, and I was like, "Oh, great! I'm sitting by the smart kid." Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've seen how charter
I just
schools.
wanted to go to recess.
I've seen how charter schools have pulled money out of our public schools, and if they're doing it and the students are learning, great. But if they're doing it and the schools are getting an F, not so great. And we've experienced that in the county over the past few years where we've lost a ton of money to organizations that way.
There's a great report out right now called Integrity Florida that tells all about the underbelly of the charter school industry. There are great charter schools, but I think it is a business advantage for a lot of people.
It is.
Yeah, and our school district now is full choice. That means a student in any school can decide to go to any one of our schools in the district.
That is very different from some of the areas I'm used to because you had to get a special. Kids were absolutely staying in that area. If you lived there, you had to go to school in there.
It was like that at one time because
Yeah.
I had to apply for school choice when my children went to high
Yeah.
school.
What I'm amazed by is, PJ had said that you guys, all the technology, I walked in, I expected to see a school, that just had nothing going on and the kids were in there, and especially when I heard about those schools. And I walked in and I was blown away. And what's amazing, I really feel our schools are more advanced technology-wise than our whole county and community is. If you go outside those schools, Flagler County does not have infrastructure, they don't have the technology. Yet in the school system, you guys have seemed to build a kingdom in there of technology, and these kids are learning stuff at an age that I didn't learn things in college.
They probably know stuff that people in our county government don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely, absolutely. But you're doing it without the corporate business support because we don't have it in our economy. And the sad thing is, I was talking to some of the kids, and I looked up at them and I said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And they'd say, "Oh, I want to be an engineer." I want to do this. Brilliant kids. This kid was 6 years old. And she looked at me and I just said, I'm going to throw this out there. How do you like living in Flagler County? She goes, it's my favorite place in the world to live.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, this child, if we don't get this economy going, this child's going to have to move.
That's true.
And that's sad.
It is sad. Well, we've got to take another break because that's what we do on Today with Pastor Jay. But we're here with Joe Mullins from Live Shop
It'll
and
be a short
Play.
break.
It'll be a short break. And Janet McDonald and Tant. How much time I have? 4 minutes, right? I knew it. I have 4 minutes. I have got to say hi to at least one sponsor. And I want to give the other two
Yeah, I got to
dates.
say the sponsor too.
Okay, I want to give the other two dates for October 18th, October
For Connect
25th.
Two.
Yeah, for the next
Right.
two, Connect 2, because I want to see, because it's going to air this week
And
for
you know
me.
where they're gonna be?
Yes.
Okay,
October
good.
18th is at Flagler Palm Coast High School.
Great.
The 25th is at Rim 5.
Can anybody go?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
anybody.
You don't
that's
have to
what
register, you can just show up?
you can just show up, but if they want, do you have Sabrina or
I
the
have
main number at the,
Yeah,
just
we
call
like them to
Sabrina?
register so
Yeah.
we can,
Yeah.
see some
No, to welcome
background
them.
and-
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
No, to
That's
welcome
true.
them and all. Sabrina would be the best contact. And the other thing is, if you could put the Education Foundation
Oh,
opportunities on
that's
as
true.
well.
I have that too. So
Because-
I'm going to have to talk real. I'm
Because
from New
they
York.
are helping.
I'm from New
Yes,
York. I can
they
talk
are.
fast.
And that is the way that folks get in from the business community to see how their dollars are used.
Right.
And that's,
Okay.
you know, what we do in our schools a lot is based on that free will giving from the businesses to layer on top of what they squeeze out of Tom's dollars.
Okay, I can do that.
You gonna do it or you want
You
me
can
to?
do it.
Oh,
Don't
it didn't matter to me.
matter.
I just said, you know.
Okay,
Always
I
get in
have
trouble.
4 minutes, so I'm going to take a minute, and I'm going to talk real fast because I'm from New York. Welcome back, welcome back. Want to give a shout out to Steve Verrier, the FloridaMortgageCenter.com, 866-1112. Listen, don't know what kind of money you need, you got to call Steve. Can't buy a house without knowing how much money you have in your pocket. Also, I want to remind everyone that these C2 Connect 2, I'm calling C2, these Connect 2 tours are still ongoing. There's 2 left, one on October the 18th at Flagler Palm Coast High School, and the next one October 25th at Rimfire Elementary. For more information, look for Sabrina Crosby at 437-75